This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gil Alexander on VSiN.
Good Wednesday morning to you. It's a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, and of course, Sirius XM channel 158. Look at that. A little festive stuff happening on the screen. You guys throw that up again? That's pretty cool. Hey, look at that.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, the Yuletide. What Noel? What do we got here? Merry Christmas, everybody. That's all I have to say. Merry Christmas on Christmas Eve day here at the network and all around the world. On a numbers game, Gil Alexander, Danny Higgins in for Kelly Bidlin, who's enjoying his Christmas in South Florida. Danny, Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
Appreciate you being here. You'll be here tomorrow as well, Christmas Day.
Be here Christmas Day.
And then Wyatt on Friday at Kelly's spot. On the show today, packed. Just because it's Christmas doesn't mean we're not doing our thing. Will Hill, all of his bets, NFL and more. We'll go through the Wednesday whip around, go little thoughts, ATS, Survivor, what quarterback stories are going on right now, who's in, who's not, what the stories are, with the updates with some of these quarterback situations around the league. A little college basketball with Greg Peterson. There is no college basketball today, nor tomorrow, nor the next day. It's a little bit of a college basketball break till, I think, Saturday night. But we'll get a Christmas heat check on college basketball from Greg. How many teams he think can generally win it all at this point and beyond. NFL Week 17 with Nick Whalen a little later on. And then Toddy Wishnev in the house for a little Todd on a day before Christmas as he celebrates there in Pittsburgh. So let me just, we don't usually start, Dan, with, by the way, sorry about Southern Miss yesterday, everybody. That was a tough watch. These bowl games are just horrific in some cases.
Carl Sack made out. He needed Ohio.
Yep. Still alive.
Still alive.
We don't usually start with playing clip from the Megapod on a numbers game, but we figured, hey, day before Christmas, why not? Because this is, I sort of asked this yesterday, because it's the one NFL year, right? We go around, we're with our non-betting friends. We go around and we always ask them, hey, who do you think's going to be, or they ask you, who do you think's in the Super Bowl this year, right? No one's talking about point spreads or anything like that. And just generally on the Megapod yesterday, decided to ask that of the panel. Ben Wilson joined us, former VSiN man. Ben Wilson, obviously play-by-play, doing his play-by-play thing, multiple sports around the country. He was our guest and sort of just asked that question. This will lead to some matchup odds coming up. But who do they think is going to be in the Super Bowl? Here's how it went.
I actually feel like NFC, I'd have a decent amount of conviction in saying the Rams, which is ironic that there's a good chance they're not, they're going to be like the 5 seed. I still feel like the Rams are head and shoulders the best team in the NFC. And honestly, as crazy as that game was last Thursday, the loss, it even cemented that for me even more. Like all these things that could have gone wrong. If all these guys banged up, your best receivers out, rain, terrible elements, your coach just had a kid a few days before, and you were the right side for 99.9% of that game, had no business losing. I came away from that feeling even more confident in, and obviously they're going to have to do it the hard way now, but I still think it's the Rams out of the NFC. I mean, Buffalo, I guess, but you can't stop a nosebleed on the ground when it gets to January. That's usually not a good thing, no matter who your quarterback is. So I would just tepidly say Rams, Bills at this point, but I don't feel good about it at all. I'd probably think like the Jags or Texans. I think whatever team ends up winning that division, I'd actually feel like is probably like the sneaky good value play to come out of the conference.
And think about what you just said about the Rams having the most conviction on the Rams. The Rams are currently the 6th seed. That's how weird this season is. Will, same question.
I will go Seahawks versus the Chargers.
Wow. I will go Chargers. I thought I was going to have the headline. I will go Chargers versus either Rams or 49ers. I can't decide. But I'm with you on the Chargers. I feel like they are super overlooked. And I can't believe I got there with them. But that's going to trigger a matchup bet for me at some point this week. Todd, you've had time to think about it.
I guess I just feel like it's going to be poetic justice for a guy who never makes it every year. They get screwed some which way. And finally, in the year that they don't really have it, they really shouldn't get there, will maybe get there. And I'm going to go with the Buff Bills. the Buff Bills to get to the Super Bowl. Although the weaknesses of the team are glaring, you still have Josh Allen. So, in a game where it's all just thrown up in the air, who knows who's going to win? I don't know. That Josh Allen guy is pretty good. So
Who do you have in the NFC?
Buff Bills with the, I'm going to say the Packers.
Oh, Packers.
Yeah, I'm going to say the Packers. I think the Packers could sneak in there somehow, even though I think the Rams, I agree with Ben that the Rams are the best team. But the Rams, they're not like dominant. They're dominant on offense, but on defense, I don't find them dominant.
So, I mean, think about that. If you go with that matchup, it's a 7 seed versus a 6 seed currently.
Yeah, that's...
So I just think again, very simple question. We never ask it on our shows because we're far too cool for school to ask a simple question like that, right? But on this given year, I think if you ask 100 people, what do you get? 60 different answers maybe in matchups? Like, I mean, in other words, 40 people will end up matching, but you'll have a lot of different ones as well.
Yeah, just have a lot of different combinations. I mean, especially right now, still unknowing with the...
Because Houston's in there. Jacksonville's in there.
Exactly. And knowing these matchups, like you said, is home field going to really play a massive factor come playoff time? I mean, we saw Jacksonville going to Denver. Is that going to be a cause for, can teams go into Mile High? Like, if they're going to get the 1 seed, it's going to be tough for, teams to go in there. Jacksonville just went in there. They're a warm weather team. So, I mean, that could be something to look at as well, like looking forward.
Who would you say?
I would go right now. My 2 picks would be, I'm going to go Buffalo, and I'm going to go to the Niners.
Buffalo and the Niners?
Buffalo and the Niners. Yeah, I'm going to go Buffalo and 49ers.
By the way, I overshot it with the math on 60, but you get the idea. It's going to be completely like a random discussion. As far as the actual odds, because these are available. MGM has this up?
Yeah, that's where I got them from MGM. I got the top 20 of, because they have a bunch of different combos still. So.
Yeah, DraftKings has them up. I didn't see it at Caesars, but again, they put them up and they take them down at different times during the week. But right now, these are the MGM, the BetMGM odds. The short shots are Buffalo versus the Rams, Denver versus the Rams, New England versus the Rams. All 3 of those 14-1. Then you have the same 3 teams versus Seattle. Denver slightly shorter, 16-1. Denver versus Seattle. Buffalo versus Seattle, New England versus Seattle are 18-1. Then you go back to a couple Rams, Jacksonville versus the Rams, Houston versus the Rams, 20-1, 22-1. And then it gets a little funky, Cole Medina at that point. Denver versus Philadelphia and Jacksonville versus Seattle, 25-1. I went ahead and made a couple bets. I bet the combinations that I just mentioned on that Megapod clip, which is, by the way, thanks to Ben Wilson, thanks to Todd Wishnev, and Will Hill. Once again, the Beating the Book Megapod. If you look for Megapod, you won't necessarily find it. It's on the Beating the Book podcast feed. We do it every week with a rotating guest, and I've done so for 15 years now. So thanks just again to all the guests throughout the years. Just been too many to name. 18 different ones again this year, with our 18th coming next week with Vegas Runner, who was a co-host for many years. But I went ahead and I bet the Chargers versus the Rams, which I got it at 20-1 in a faraway place, but I can bet it over at BetMGM for, I believe, a little more than that.
I got 28-1.
28-1, which I'm going to do. And then the other one that I did bet, again, faraway place, I can get it a little better at BetMGM, is the Niners versus the Chargers. Again, the Chargers being the sort of linchpin where I think I rate them higher than the market, and so want to exploit that. And then just I do believe what Ben was saying at the top is correct. I do believe the Rams are probably the best team in the NFL. But if you don't end up with the number 1 seed and say San Francisco does, I don't know. Like, that's just such a different path to have to take. San Francisco, like, we win 2 home games, we're in the Super Bowl. Rams are like, we have to win 3 road games.
Yes.
It's a large difference.
Very, very big.
So those are the 2. So if yours is the Buffalo Rams, you are going with the short shot at this point.
No, I'm going to go Buffalo and the 49ers.
Oh, Buffalo and the 49ers, pardon me.
35-1.
35-1.
Yes.
I don't know. I think that might be the move.
I just like the way the Niners are playing. Like, the offense looks good. Purdy looks phenomenal out there, in my opinion. I think he's clicking on all cylinders right now. And again, this a team that I feel like not has been talked about as much because they're below both the Rams and Seattle.
I will also acknowledge, though, that they probably looked, no team is as good as they look one week or as bad as they look one week. Credit Marco D'Angelo with that phrase. I think they look as good as they possibly could have offensively against the Colts, who were an absolute sieve on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I take from that is because they did that to a team that I believe they should have, and they took care of business that night. Like, they didn't go in there and just win a tight-knit game. It was obviously close at first, but then they came out and they just I believe showed their dominance going forward in that game, and I could see them making a real push in the playoffs.
By the way, we're going to get to the NFL whip around. Maybe start the Christmas countdown a little later on with the Christmas songs, because it's a top 15 this year. We've expanded from 5 2-3 years ago to 10 last year to 15 this year. But I just want to point out one thing, because we have situations where teams are in must-win situations this week. In the case of the Baltimore Ravens, they're in a must-win. The Colts are in a must-win situation, and the Lions are in a must-win situation. Now, specifically with the Lions are taking on a team that is eliminated. That's not the case with the Colts, who are taking on the Jags, or the Ravens, who are taking on the Packers. But in the case of the Lions, it's a team in a must-win situation. Remember, Lions must win out. Packers must lose out for the Lions to get in the playoffs. So it is a literal must-win, but they're playing the Vikings, a team that is eliminated. Dr. Bob was asked by Bi-Week Picks yesterday on Twitter, hey, what's the all-time record for teams in must-win situations versus teams that have already been eliminated? Detroit, Bob says, and by the way, it's Stoll, S-T-O-L-L. Detroit is the only team, he says, that must win to keep their playoff hopes alive and face a team this week that has already been eliminated from the playoffs, as we just mentioned. He says those quote-unquote must-win teams are just 73, 108, and 5 against the spread in the final 2 weeks of the season. He says not enough to base a bet on, but worth noting. Again, we just wanted to drive home the point that while the media narrative, and you'll watch big media conglomerates like ESPN that talk about, this team's in a must-win situation, and the general public becomes just absolutely enraptured by that. They must try harder or something. It actually, against the number, our little currency, it's a losing proposition. Coming back.
While you're celebrating, traveling, or taking a rare day off, VSiN will be live all Christmas Day. Your morning starts with VSiN by the books, followed by a numbers game, and a special edition of Live Bet Christmas to guide you through the early action. In the afternoon and evening, we'll keep the insights coming with Follow the Money, VSiN Primetime, and Cashing Out. So even if your routine shifts during the holidays, your betting coverage doesn't have to. From bowl season to NFL action, plus the NBA's holiday slate, VSiN is your home for holiday betting coverage.
This is VSiN, a network of sports betting analysts, writers, hosts, and handicappers, all here to help you become a more confident bettor. We broadcast live every day from Las Vegas, the sports betting capital of the world, and from studios across the country, giving you insight from every angle of the action. Take VSiN with you wherever you go with the VSiN Watch app, or catch us on streaming platforms and regional sports networks. You can also listen live on SiriusXM Channel 158 and on radio stations nationwide. Check out VSiN.com as well for betting tools, exclusive betting splits, AI-powered player prop projections from Opta, pro picks for every game, plus in-depth betting guides and articles built to give you an edge. From sharp betting analysis and daily best bets to insider interviews and expert breakdowns, VSiN is your trusted source for everything happening in the world of sports betting. See everything we have to offer at VSiN.com and become part of the Sports Betting Network.
Coming up on the next edition of Follow the Money, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Mitch is off. It's Paulie and Mark Malusis. Paul Charchian to talk fantasy and props and his great call on Olave. Also, fantasy football punishments. He'll run it down. Sal Pell to preview Week 17. Tony Farmer for Last Man Standing podcast. 10 people left in Circus Survivor. 18.7 million. 5 people have to use an underdog on Christmas. And Matt Humans live from the Hawaii Bowl. Follow the Money 4 to 7 Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM, Channel 158.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Want to bet smarter? Start with Smarter Insights. Right now you can check out the Bowl Game Betting Hub. We have previews for every bowl game 72 hours in advance, plus best bets and Week 17 survivor advice. Later today you can check out Zach Cohen's Christmas Day NBA previews and Week 17 first touchdown score picks. You can get full Visa Pro access through May 1st, 2026 for just $79 with the holiday special at vsin.com/subscribe. We get tweets beating the book P5 Legends. As a 2% owner of a survivor entry with only Washington and Minnesota available, hoping for a quarterback ghost of Christmas past to inspire the Commanders to victory on December 24th, 1999. P5 Legends notes, as an 8.5-point dog, Jake Delhomme led the Saints to a 31-24 upset of Dallas in New Orleans in his first NFL start. Well, you got to look for inspiration wherever you can find it. P5 Legends, a 1999 game on Christmas. It's a good place to start. Martin Bernstein, Merry Christmas to the VSiN crew, and Baruch Hashem to you, Gil. Thank you. Appreciate it very much. It's very nice of you. John Fitzgibbons, Merry Christmas, Gil. All the best to you and yours through the holidays. Merry Christmas to you, John. Merry Christmas to all listening this morning. Hope you have a happy, safe Christmas with family, hopefully. Sam Ginsberg, he says, ask Todd later about the gift and note he got from Hashem. Oh, that's a great gift you gave him, Sam. We'll ask Todd about that. Dan Groeschel, when you started to tee up a clip from the Megapod, I really hoped it was to set up Will Hill's quote leading up to his third pick. Then I realized he's not on the ANG-approved potty mouth list. It's true. We haven't approved Will for potty mouth status yet. Colin Murphy, Gil and Danny Higgins, Merry Christmas. I think something to watch in these bowl games is teams that lost in their conference title games and not playing in the playoff are fades. Troy and UNLV lost outright. Jacksonville State played Troy in an ugly game, and someone had to win. Teams left to fade would be North Texas, BYU, Miami of Ohio, and Virginia. Deflated teams not getting up for a meaningless bowl game. I think it makes a lot of sense. Colin, that has been a tried and true, not necessarily conference championship games, but a tried and true college bowl handicapping tenet that we have talked about for 15 years doing podcasts and shows, which is teams that have to settle, quote unquote, right, for a bowl game, however you want to define that word settle. They were hoping for more. The end of the regular season didn't go well. They ended up in the Blue Bonnet Bowl, right, instead of a more meaningful bowl. I get it. Blue Bonnet's not played, but you get the idea. Jason Stark, it is must win, not must cover. Yes, that is correct. Chris Heath, I never try to handicap will to win because it doesn't exist. Talking about that, those historical numbers we just provided from Dr. Bob about, again, teams in must-win situations. And remember, we're clearly defining that as you have to one more loss and you're out. So we're not getting into seeding issues. So Detroit, Baltimore, and Indianapolis is who that applies to this year, but only in the case of Detroit does it apply to a game against a team that is outright eliminated, and those were the numbers. Once again, not enough to trigger a bet, but about 50 games underneath 500 in terms of against the spread. Will Hill joins us now, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. You can follow him on Twitter at that's with two E's, Will Hill, star of the Megapod, host of the Shoulda Bet More podcasts, and, of course, he writes for Fox Sports as well. Will, Merry Christmas, man, to you and the whole family, all 20 of your kids.
Yep. I appreciate it, Gil. Merry Christmas. That did it a little early yesterday. It's always weird to do it on a Tuesday, but man, that is the most fun. Just like 90 minutes, no matter who is on. Very rarely do we get done with that and not text each other. Like, man, how much fun was that?
It really is. The Megapod, there's something special about it. Brent was on a few weeks ago, and we all text afterwards. Like, can you believe that? We get to hang out with Brent for an hour and a half. But every guest is just awesome in their own way. I hate to bring this up first, but you know where I'm going with this. I don't know if you saw this last night, Will. The Thunder lost again to the Spurs again. The Spurs now responsible for half of the Thunder's losses this year. What say you? Can we get to 74 still, or is that done?
No. I mean, the math just doesn't math. When you're trying to go 74-8, losing 3 games in 10 days, Gilly, you bring out your calculator, do your little do.
Yep.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. You can't lose 3 in 10 days. I don't know what the issue has been. I watched a lot of that Saturday night game a couple weeks ago in the midseason tournament, whatever they call it. And the Spurs just look like they were the kryptonite for the Thunder, even with Wemby on a minutes restriction. That was like a legitimate loss. They didn't look great. I guess Jalen Williams has come back and not really played well, not fit in. So I don't know. I thought I'd get more bang for my buck, more of a run for the ticket, especially when you're like 24-1. You're thinking, all right, if nothing else, they're going to come close and I can sweat this out through a long, cold winter here, and if not win the bet, get close. But no, losing 3 games in 10 days, it doesn't work. And that was they play again in a couple of days, or they play tomorrow on Christmas.
They play tomorrow.
Actually. So
yes,
that'll be interesting to watch. I mean, you brought up the point. Maybe the Spurs can actually, beat them 4 out of 7 times in a playoff series, which I wouldn't have thought was possible a couple weeks ago. But watching some of these games live, the Spurs just seem to give them a hard time. I don't know if you disagree, but maybe they're not a lock to actually win this whole thing like we all thought.
These are the 2 things. I mean, and to follow up again, I didn't make the bet for them to win 74. I did have a moment of FOMO when they were like, still had 1 loss. But I didn't make the bet because the margin of error is so thin, right, to break the record of 73-9. And I kept saying the whole time, if they lose 2 games in a week, like this thing is dead, like on arrival. And so they've lost 4 now. And again, you have 4 losses to work with, but probably not going to get there. 70's a different story. But yes, the point I made about the NBA Cup semifinal game between the Thunder and the Spurs, if you watched that game down the stretch, right, with Wemby on the court, you just got the sense that the surer thing on offense was always going to be the Spurs. And that's an amazing comment to make against the defending champion Thunder and Shea's, what's the term that people use? The foul merchant that he is. Yeah, was that the word foul merchant? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that's, people have already assumed they're going to win multiple championships, and I just thought that was a point at the time. And now here we are with one more point of data. They're double-digit favorites. They're like 13.5-point favorites tomorrow. The Thunder are against the Spurs once again. So load management issues perhaps involved as well. But that's kind of my feeling. They are no lock. The Thunder.
And the thing with Wembanyama, if there's anyone on this earth born to guard him, it's Holmgren. And it still didn't matter because Holmgren's got the size, the dimensions where you can at least, see his chin without a telescope and do a reasonable job of guarding him. And it didn't matter. I mean, if he stays healthy and he continues to develop, boy, he's going to just wreak havoc on the league. And if you look at the West, I know we don't talk a lot of NBA. Jokic is with the Nuggets, Luke is with the Lakers, the Thunder and everything they have, the Spurs with Wemby. I can't remember not only the NBA, but any sport ever where there was such an imbalance. Cooper Flag is on Dallas. There's such an imbalance between the West and the East.
Yeah, it's definitely the case. You don't have any NBA plays for today or tomorrow, do you?
No, okay. I don't even think we have any NBA today. I mean, it's a pretty light sports day, but no, I mean, that 13.5 looks a little heavy. But if there's a reason that line probably moved up. I'm worried that the Spurs might not play their guys, but otherwise that would be with the way the Spurs have played them. That's just seems like way too many points.
NBA and college basketball, both dark as they say in the theater game. NBA with a quintuple header on Christmas tomorrow, including that Spurs Thunder game. College football, these bowl games, man. Before we get to the quarterfinals, let's just talk about the random bowl games. It was always tough to handicap bowls. At least in the last 10 years it has been. I want to just say that the ground zero of this, right, was Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey when they were at LSU and Stanford respectively. And that one year where they're like, you know what, we're not going to play our bowl game. And then I remember people's reaction was sort of like, wow, can you do that? And I remember saying on air, it's like, I'm surprised this doesn't happen more often. Now that we have a transfer portal, right, that ignited a wave. And then the transfer portal has sent that into a completely different stratosphere. What are you doing with any of these? Do you have a play or two that you like?
I'll play them here and there. I'll play stuff live. I mean, the one thing we can say about them, and this is the saving grace for everything, they're on TV. You can watch them. You can bet them. It's football. But other than that, to sit there with like big bets on these games where you don't really know who's going to play or who's going to care, it's really tough. And yeah, you mentioned Fournette and McCaffrey were ground zero. It was the year before. I can't remember the kid on Notre Dame's name, Jalen Smith or what, he was a linebacker and he got like a career altering injury playing in a bowl game. And I think people saw that and he dropped in the draft. He was never the same. He never made the money he was going to make. And I think people saw that and said, all right, what's the point of this? Why am I going to do this from a big time NFL prospect? But it's not even just the big time NFL guys now. It's just so many of these guys opt out. I mean, I'm here in Connecticut, UConn, who's got a kid who might be a 7th round pick. He's not playing in the bowl game. It does make it very, very difficult. I know we're running out of time here. I do have some plays in some of these games coming up, but boy, it's one of those things. You talk about this a lot. When you lose on it, when you lose money on it, there is that feeling of, man, what? I really just lost money on the Southern Miss game.
That's right.
It does feel stupid when you lose.
It does. Well, give us one bowl game here that you like.
Central Michigan plus 10.5 against Northwestern. Northwestern doesn't score a lot of points. 6 of their 12 games, they've been held to under 20 points. And Central Michigan, in a game with a low total, they can run the ball. They average like 166 yards on the ground. So if you have one team that doesn't score, another team that can run the ball, a low total, to me, 10.5 is a lot. Plus, you have a MAC team going against the Big Ten team. I think the MAC team probably cares a little bit more than the Big Ten team. So 10.5 seems like a lot in a game with a low total.
Okay. Any other rando bowls? One more?
Georgia Tech plus 4.5 against BYU. BYU, loses the championship game, doesn't make the playoff. Georgia Tech coach Brent Key has been very good in his career as a dog, 17-6. They're a tough team to prepare for. They run a lot of option. They've typically been very good as a dog as well.
Okay. We'll get Will's thoughts on the quarterfinals, the games that actually mean something in the end. And in Week 17, of course, the National Football League. We'll do that with Will Hill from the Shoulda Bet More podcast and the Megapod, of course, Fox Sports. Coming up, Numbers Game, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Got a good thing coming, so wait and see. It's a good.
Sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup, then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to VSiN.com/pro to join VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
As the official horse racing partner of VSiN, First Bet is built for bettors who demand more. First Bet, just not about placing a bet. It's about helping bettors of all levels with proprietary AI handicapping tools that provide data-driven insights to help you make smarter bets. First Bet's in-app tools give you win, place, and show probabilities for each runner, so you can quickly and easily identify good value plays and improve your ROI. Right now, you can take advantage of their limited-time $250 sign-up offer. To claim your bonus, use promo code VSiN250 when you sign up in the First Bet app or at firstbet.com. That's promo code VSiN250. Skill Alexander, Danny Higgins alongside. Biggest thing that ever happened here in the studio in the last, 24 hours. Danny had no idea I ruptured Achilles, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't think this was possible anymore.
No idea.
You had no idea.
No idea.
Danny, not one but two. You know, I've never talked about it on this show before. Why don't I talk about it today? No, I'm kidding. We get tweets. Primetime Cowboys _Cubs1. Yo, hey, man. In honor of Festivus, I have a lot of problems with you people. Chargers going to the Super Bowl? Have you been living under a rock, Gilly? Come playoff time, Chargers are going to Charger. By the way, happy Cowboys versus Indians week, he says. Happy Kwanzaa to all. Happy Kwanzaa to you, Primetime. Blue Hen Bill. So with the with the Danny, Caddyshack, and then the Danny Shining, I prefer Bookham Dano. Oh, from Hawaii 5-0. I mean, it's a gambling show. Merry Christmas to my favorite radio show by far. I played my Eagles Chargers making the Super Bowl at 70-1. Buffalo versus the Eagles at 27-1. He says Buffalo at 27-1. Eagles are most balanced team in NFC, he says. Kevin Ryan, Gil, being that we are the greatest listeners in the game and add to the content and humor of the show, it's time for you to give back. What's the name of that sushi restaurant? Oh, haven't brought that up in a while. Dan Groeschel, today's sports slate is so depressingly quiet unless you are into the Africa Cup of Nations. The Hawaii Bowl, that's it. That's at Ivory Coast. Win to nil, -138 feels like a great bet. And Scuba Scott, allow me to start by simply saying thank you. Thank you for showing up and doing a show on Christmas Eve with literally one game on the board. You really didn't have to be on the air today. Listeners like myself that are basically flying solo this week, truly appreciate it. Thank you, Scuba, for listening. Thank you to all for listening each and every morning, including this one. Will Hill joins us again since we do have a college football game today, Will. The Hawaii Bowl between Hawaii and Cal. Your thoughts on that? Let's start there.
First thought is this game, with the only game in town today, this game will probably have the same handle as like the Super Bowl, with people just home looking for something to bet, something to watch. Nobody can name a player on either team. And I have to be honest, if this game were among 100 games on Saturday, would I be betting it? Probably not. But I bet Hawaii. I took them on the money line. I think, from a situational standpoint, being home on Christmas Eve, a little bit of an advantage. That's a good home field advantage. This game means something to them. They've got the best kicker, one of the best kickers in the country. So I think in a close game, they'll be able to figure out a way to get it done. I know the line came down. There's some 1.5s out there. I'd be careful with the 1.5. These bowl games, these teams, if they're down 7, they'll go for 2, and the game can land on 1. Sort of you see this meaningless NFL games, NFL preseason. These teams go for 2 a lot more. So Hawaii on the money line is a play for me. Some interesting subplots. Rolovich, the Cal coach, not only used to coach at Hawaii, but he played at Hawaii with Tim Chang, the Hawaii coach. They were both quarterbacks in the same quarterback room, Gilly. We love that term. But these guys were teammates, played quarterback together. So a few subplots here, as I'm sure everyone will be watching tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern, with pretty much the only game on.
Every time Timmy Chang comes up, though, I always think the same thing, which is, the late night, Saturday night, college football standalone when everything else had stopped playing. Everybody betting on Hawaii games and he would come through, man, left and right back in the day. Now, of course, the coach of the Rainbow Warriors. As for the quarterfinals, obviously Miami and Ohio State Friday night, Christmas Eve, a week from tonight, and then the remaining 3 games the following day on New Year's Day. No other rando bowl games on New Year's Day, just those 3. What's your favorite bet among the group?
Yeah, that's another thing that's completely changed when you just wake up New Year's Day and you have just 5 or 6 awesome bowl games, but obviously a different time. My favorite is Miami. I talked about this before they got in. When I thought they had a chance to get in, I thought if they got in, they'd be dangerous. They are so loaded with NFL talent. I know that was like pulling teeth on Saturday afternoon. We all had them. That was not easy. That was not fun. I still think that kid should have gone down at the 1 despite all the field goal troubles they had. You know what? Kick an 18-yard field goal to win the game. Don't give the ball back. But I just think they're loaded on both offensive line, defensive line. Beck has to play better, but Beck has always struggled on the road, which is why that was a tricky game against Texas A&M. This is a neutral game, and you could say, you know what, they should play these games on college campus. It's a better atmosphere. That's probably true, but I think 10 is a lot, especially 9.5, 10. I think that's a lot of points, especially when you look at Ohio State. It's been a soft schedule except for 2 games, Indiana and Texas, and they scored a combined 24 points in those 2 games, and they did not really show out too well, offensively in those 2 games. I think this is a close game. I think Miami, with their defense, keeps it close. I think their defensive line can really give Julian Saint a hard time, and 10's a lot, and I wouldn't be shocked if Miami pulls the upset.
Wouldn't be shocked if Miami pulls the upset. By the way, before we go to the other 3 games, on a scale from 1 to, oh my God, Gil, I wanted to go through the phone and choke you, how annoying was I trying to figure out how how Tony got tripped up on that punt return, trying to do Zapruder film on that? How annoying.
No, it wasn't as bad as actually watching Miami. That was a frustrating one. They kept getting interceptions on short fields, missing field goals. I mean, that was just was frustrating on so many levels. But the defense stepped up. The defense, didn't let them sniff the end zone. And look, I think they're super live here. It should be a fun game. I know Bear has been on this for a while. This idea that they're live, and if you get in, anything can happen. So, yeah, it should be a lot of fun. What was annoying was having Oregon somehow not covering Saturday night. That is one of the all-time bad beats. The fact that they were up 48-13 on the doorstep, about to score, to go up, 42 points, and then somehow they don't cover. But thus is the life in college football.
Yeah, 99-yard drive for JMU to cover. All right, Oregon, Texas Tech, with Oregon now a 2.5-point favorite. Oregon taking some money. Bama and Indiana down to 6.5. Georgia 6.5-point favorite against Ole Miss. What about those?
No feel for Oregon, Texas Tech. I would say with Alabama, Indiana, just on the surface, that line is very justified. Indiana is a legitimate touchdown better than Alabama, but at the end of the day, these are human beings. That's a very unique spot for Indiana to be in, playing in the Rose Bowl as the role of the favorite. They're not used to that. Alabama in the role of an underdog, they're not used to that. I worry there's a little too much pressure on Indiana. I could only look towards taking the points with Bama. I would think Indiana wins the game. They are pretty significantly better than Alabama, but that's just a lot of points to be laying with Indiana against Alabama in a spot where they're not familiar. As far as the other one, I feel like that line's a little short with Georgia. At some point, Ole Miss is probably going to miss Lane Kiffin and his play calling. Georgia seems to be hitting their stride. I never really trust Ole Miss. That's been kind of a soft schedule. So I know Ole Miss played them tough in Georgia middle of the season, but I got a feeling one way or another Georgia gets it done. I wouldn't be surprised if they win the game by 10, 14 points, something like that.
I've heard different opinions on Oregon, Texas Tech, and Alabama, Indiana. I think it's all one. So far, I've heard only one-way traffic on Miami. By the way, I'm part of that one-way traffic against the number, and Georgia. I haven't heard one Ole Miss person yet. You?
I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't. We still got a week or so to go, but I have not heard anyone that likes Ole Miss. And that was just, we were texting about it. What a waste of time that was Saturday night. That was supposed to be a showcase for your sport.
Yeah.
4 games, if you're a college football fan, that are absolute must-watch games. If we had Notre Dame versus Oregon Saturday night and Ole Miss versus Vandy or Texas, those are must-watch games. You could have turned the TV off 3 o'clock Eastern and not missed a single thing. Ole Miss versus Tulane, Oregon versus James Madison. I mean, why not put a couple of high school teams in? What a complete joke that was.
If you were going to have to go to a wedding, Will, is how I would put it. Those were the games to air while you were at a wedding. NFL Week 7.
100%.
Yeah, NFL Week 17, we got Thursday Christmas tripleheader, which is just a completely fakakta tripleheader of football, given the quarterback situations. And we have a couple on Saturday. We got a slate on Sunday with only 2 afternoon games on Sunday, and one of them is the Giants and the Raiders. Enjoy that one, America. So it's a weird schedule. What of all of these do you think I was asked this at this time of year, what do you think you do know at this point in the NFL?
I like the Browns. It's down to 3. I gave it out a couple days ago, and it was, I think, 4.5. That game might not mean anything for the Steelers. If the Packers beat the Ravens, and it seems like Jordan Love is trending towards playing, the Steelers clinch the division. They're locked into the 4. They treat that, that's basically like a preseason game where you're laying 3.5 points on the road, a game where there's going to be some weather, some wind. I think, no DK Metcalf, and Steelers don't really have a lot of receivers to begin with. And even if that game means something, I think the Browns will play up here in the role of a spoiler against the home division rival. So I like the Browns plus the points. How many money line parlays will the books write on Thursday on Christmas with everyone home, with all 3 favorites?
Man.
Lions, Cowboys, Broncos. I just put in the bet slip. It's like minus 120. They will be overloaded because people don't want to lay points. People want to have action on every game. I'm sure that will be a very, very popular money line parlay here on Thursday.
For sure it will be. I may have to watch the Netflix one up in the sports book because the old pirating thing ain't working these days. You know what I mean? Can I just splurge for Netflix account? The family has too many people sharing is what I'm really getting at. By the way, you bring up that point again. We talked about it all week. 2 potential correlated parlays, right? Thursday, if the Lions lose, the Packers then are clinched against Baltimore before that game even starts. And in the case of the that same game, Packers-Ravens on Saturday, if the Ravens lose to the Packers, then the Steelers have clinched a playoff game against those Browns. So you have different day correlated parlays. So that's one way the schedule in terms of different days works out for us, potentially as better. So if you can get ahead of those, or if you have some conviction on those, there you go. Will, Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays to the whole family, man. May it be a joyous, and I won't even wish you lots of food because I know you have that.
Merry Christmas, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Will Hill, everybody. Not the Will Hill. Whip around. NFL next.
Want to bet smarter this holiday season? VSiN's Pro Holiday Special is the perfect gift. Get VSiN Pro access through May 1st for just $79. That's daily best bets, real-time splits, AI-powered prop projections, 24/7 video, and expert coverage of every major sport, from college bowls and NFL playoffs to March Madness and the Masters. Plus, postseason betting guides to make you a sharper bettor. Head to VSiN.com/subscribe and join us on the Sports Betting Network. Join the guru, John Hansen, at the intersection of prop betting and fantasy sports on Prop Points, only on VSiN.
You know what? I'm going to blame Andy Reid for cronyism because Matt Nagy stinks. A guy like Jefferson, you got to be a part of the solution, not part of the problem, and he's been part of the problem.
John and his guests will help you find the connection between the two and give you his expert advice on how to capitalize when a number is too good to pass up. Prop Points, weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on VSiN.
Numbers Game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back on the Numbers Game, live from Circle Resort Casino, downtown Las Vegas. Gil Alexander, Danny Higgins, in for the vacationing Kelly Bidlin. Kelly will be back in his chair next week once he finishes celebrating with family. Going to do his Christmas there with his family, and then New Year's without the family, if you know what I mean. That's his strategy. We get tweet speed in the book Banshees of Atlantic City. And Not Giamatti says, thanks to you and Kelly and gang for making us all a little smarter all year long. Tell Danny I've sentenced boys younger than him to the gas chamber. That's a Caddyshack reference for those who were like, what did he say? Didn't want to do it. Felt I owed it to them. This is all from Caddyshack. Merry Christmas from all of us here at the Wawa parking lot where he's making bets. Thank you, Banshees of Atlantic City. Mile High David at Inferior Bowl. Caesar's Will Hill. Oh, this is a good point from Mile High David. He says Caesar's Will Hill does not offer the name the Super Bowl finalist market, but you can, of course, parlay conference winners for the same result in some cases. That will give you a better number. It's a good note, Mile High David. Thank you, sir. Chris Heath adds, my sophomore year at Marin Catholic, the varsity quarterback led the football team to the league championship. His name was Nick Rolovich. Are we talking about Cal's interim coach, Nick Rolovich, I would assume? I don't want to assume. Maybe it's a different Nick Rolovich. Shall we do it? NFL Whip Around. Let's go.
The guys check in on all the NFL line movement, injury updates, and give their thoughts on every game on the board. It's the Wednesday Whip Around.
Cool Whip Around. For a staggered Week 17, which has 3 games tomorrow, 2 on Saturday, then the rest, with the exception of the Monday night game on Sunday. But keep in mind, only 2 afternoon games on Sunday. By the way, the sports schedule, we were just talking about this off air. There is nothing on today besides the Hawaii Bowl. Nothing.
No, nothing.
No rando, nothing. No NBA, no college hoops, no tennis, no golf.
No hockey.
No hockey. Just the Hawaii Bowl. And, of course, Chinese food, everybody. We'll point that out for a certain demographic. All right, the 3 games on Saturday, we should point out again. Dallas at Washington. The status of Marcus Mariota is still in doubt. Did not participate in practice with a hand injury that he suffered against the Eagles this past week, but is on the Commanders' injury report, but he does not currently have an injury designation for the game. Okay, so there's that. So it's either going to be Marcus Mariota or Josh Johnson playing for his 75th football team, I believe it is. So the Cowboys are 7-point favorites. So we still don't know the quarterback status with the Skins. We don't know yet.
So I got one little update. It's not definite yet, but it's trending towards Josh Johnson.
Trending towards Josh Johnson. I have no play in this ball game. If this was, if I knew it was Mariota and it was 7, I would absolutely be playing Washington. But
yeah, with that question mark,
it wouldn't be 7 with the assumption that it's Mariota. What we do know is that the Vikings in Game 2 will be starting Max Brosmer. J.J. McCarthy is out with the hairline fracture in his hand. Kevin O'Connell, head coach, announcing yesterday. So Max Brosmer expected to start. By the way, after missing all of last season, McCarthy has missed or will miss. Let's just say he misses the final 2 games. He will only have played in 9 games this year with all the injuries. So 9 games in 2 seasons to start his career.
Yeah, he's almost made of kind of like glass. He's always getting banged up one way or another. And that was the one right before the halftime where he took the hit on the hand.
His injuries this year have also had the strange quirk of we don't know about them in the moment. We only find out about them after. There's been a couple of them this year where we didn't know at the time that he got hurt, and we only the one where he got hurt this week against the Giants, we only found out about it once the second half started or at halftime.
Yep.
We didn't really know. And there was the one game where he played the full one, and then we found out about it the next day. Or
is that when he was in concussion protocol?
Yeah, there's a couple of those weird ones. Anyway, this is the one must-win situation against the team that is already eliminated. Detroit must-win situation. Detroit must win out. Green Bay must lose out for Detroit to make the playoffs. But as we pointed out, number 7.5 now on this. Detroit taking money. So this is a great example of what we're talking about. Here it is. Oh, a team has to win a football game. A team is already eliminated. Surely the team that has to win is going to play is going to play better, and they're going to cover this number. Now, Brosmer kind of pollutes this a little bit, right? Because what can you really expect from him? But that Dr. Bob number again from earlier, about 50 games, something like that, below 500. What was it? What was the total number on that? For teams in must-win situations against teams that are eliminated in the final 2 weeks of an NFL season.
Teams, those in must-win teams are just 73, 108, and 5 ATS in the final 2 weeks of the season.
73, 108, so 35 games under 500 ATS. But again, Brosmer pollutes that, but you get the idea. And again, correlated parlay possibility. If the Lions were to somehow lose outright, the Packers are in, and so their number against the Ravens on Saturday might very well alter. No play for me in this game on side or total. You?
No play for me here, no.
Third game of the day involving another quarterback, and let's again put it in Circa Survivor context. 10 entries left in Circa Survivor. Nobody has Denver left. Nobody has Detroit left. So there are only 4 teams to choose from. The one favorite, Dallas, of those remaining 4 teams, because obviously the backup quarterbacks, or in some cases third-string quarterbacks, are with 3 of those teams. Dallas being the only favorite, right, that is available to teams or to entries. 5 of the remaining 10 have Dallas available to them, which means that 5 entries left, half the field left in Circa Survivor 6, must choose from Josh Johnson, Max Brosmer, or Chris Oladokun, I'm told is the pronunciation.
Oladokun, yes.
Oladokun, like smoking Chris Oladokun. That's how you remember it. It should be his nickname. Anyway, this is a 13.5-point spread in favor of the visiting Denver Broncos at Kansas City. We talked about this with Jeff Erickson yesterday. The adjustment from Mahomes to Gardner Minshew was about 8 points, and I think we all could get behind that. The adjustment from Minshew to Oladokun is the same amount of points. That seems a little much. The look-ahead on this was, according to Ben Fawkes, his article over at Yahoo Sports, this is the first time the Chiefs have been this big of a home dog in 50 years. 50 years. Last time the Chiefs were this big of a home dog, October 3rd, 1977, against the Oakland Raiders. Who could forget that one? They lost 37-28. They did cover, though, on their way to a 2-12 season. The look-ahead line on this with Minshew assumed as the quarterback was 5.5. Now we have 13. That seems like way too much of an adjustment.
Seen some 13.5s out there at DraftKings as well.
That's let's not get crazy here. 36.5. So if you do the conflation between the spread and the total, you're talking about like a 25-11, 26-12 kind of game. In terms of this 25-11, 25-12 kind of thing with that game. So no play for me on that, but again, it's Oladokun going for the Chiefs. They are out. Broncos currently inhabit the number 1 seed in the AFC, but 6 teams are still alive, including the Broncos, for that number 1 seed. That's how up in the air the AFC is. And the Broncos still haven't clinched the AFC West with the Chargers in their rear view. To Saturday, the 2 games on Saturday, once again, the first of the 2 games on Saturday, the Packers and the Ravens game on Saturday. Is that the first of the 2 on Saturday?
No, we got Texans and Chargers.
Texans-Chargers. So these 2 games on Saturday are awesome, though. Texans-Chargers. Texans not clinched yet. Remember, they're in a mano-a-mano with the Indianapolis Colts. Texans lose out. Colts win out. Colts get in over the Texans based on common opponents. The old common opponents tiebreaker. Chargers still looking for big things. The Chargers have already clinched a playoff berth. They're looking to win the AFC West and more. They are one of the 6 teams that could still be the number 1 seed. They are 2-point favorites. That was the first bet I made on guessing lines this week. Also made a bet on them last week on guessing lines versus the Cowboys. I am admittedly higher on the Chargers than the market. It triggers another bet for me. It did 2 days ago during guessing lines. And again, I've got the Chargers matchups now in the Super Bowl that I made.
Yep. And I'm with you, Gil. I made the bet yesterday. I got Chargers minus 1.5. I think they take care of business at home.
Yeah.
I'm not a big number. It's moved to 2 here at Circa. You still get some 1.5s out there at DraftKings FanDuel.
I got a -1.
You got 1,
lines. Yeah. 48 hours ago.
Yeah, I'm going to go with it.
Jeff Erickson also on the Chargers on the show this week. Drew Dinsick on the Chargers. Oh, no. What could go wrong? And then it's the Packers and the Ravens in the nightcap on Saturday. Again, implications abound. Ravens have to win out. Steelers have to lose out for the Ravens to get into the postseason. Packers again going to look to see if Detroit loses the previous day, or 2 days before that on Christmas, because if Detroit loses, the Packers will clinch a playoff berth. And so they might look at this as banged up as they are in a different fashion. Packers are 3-point favorites. I have not made a play. Right now with the Ravens, it does look like it's trending towards Snoop Huntley, Lamar Jackson with the back injury. Todd Monken, their offensive coordinator, saying, I know he's going to fight to get back out there this week, but that's about all we've gotten from Lamar. As far as the Packers, as Will alluded to, Jordan Love